On a crisp autumn morning, the city moved like a slow river of gold. Sunlight slipped between glass towers, scattering reflections across the lobby of Halden Industries, where polished marble gleamed like frozen water. The air smelled faintly of roasted coffee and pap, ordinary scents masking extraordinary stories. Outside, leaves drifted across the sidewalk in soft spirals, catching on boots, heels, and tired sneakers. Inside the lobby, the world buzzed with quiet urgency, heels clicking, printers humming, murmured greetings echoing against high ceilings. Yet amid the polished chaos, one figure stood out, a man in a thrift store button-down, clutching a folder like a lifeline. This was Ethan Carter, single father, exhausted soul, and unaware that his life was about to shift. Ethan's shoulders sagged beneath the weight of too many sleepless nights and too many half-finished dinners. His shirt, carefully ironed before dawn, already held the faint wrinkles of a man constantly rushing to work, rushing to daycare, rushing to keep his world from falling apart. A lock of sandy hair fell across his forehead, and he pushed it back with the nervous habit of someone who had learned to be both mother and father at once. He stepped toward the reception desk, his worn brown shoes whispering against the marble. In his hands, the folder trembled inside it, a stack of resumes he hoped would earn him a temporary position, anything to keep the electricity on and his daughter's small world stable. A pair of executives walked by, their whisper sharp enough to cut. One glanced at Ethan's faded jacket and smirked. The other didn't bother to hide her dismissive stare. He pretended not to notice, but his heart tightened, the way it always did when people looked at him and saw only what he lacked. Still, he stood tall, for his little girl. He always did. Ethan approached the elevators just as a cluster of employees spilled out, their laughter too pointed to rehearse to be harmless. At the center of them was Adrian Blake, the kind of manager who wore arrogance like a tailored suit. His cologne arrived before he did, sharp, chemical, overbearing. Adrian's eyes drifted to Ethan, tracing the frayed stitching on his jacket, the scuffed shoes, the thrift store tie. A slow, mocking smile curled at the corner of his mouth. "Loss, buddy?" he asked loudly, drawing more eyes. "Interviews for the maintenance guys are in the basement. Try not to touch anything expensive on your way down." A few chuckles rippled through the group. Ethan's throat tightened. He tried to step past, but Adrian sidestepped deliberately, blocking his way. "What's in the folder?" Adrian pressed. "Child support bills, overdue rent." His voice sharpened, designed for humiliation. Ethan exhaled shakily, gripping the folder tighter. "Just here for a meeting," he murmured. Adrian tilted his head, pretending to strain to hear. "What was that? Speak up, we don't do mumbling here." Heat rose in Ethan's cheeks. He felt the room watching, judging, weighing, dismissing. Then, the elevator door slid open behind them with a soft chime. Everyone stilled, because stepping out was her Elena Halden, CEO of the entire company. Elegance wrapped in calm authority. Her heels clicked like a metronome of power across the marble. She saw Adrian. She saw Ethan. And something in her expression shifted, sharp, assessing, unmistakably protective. Everything changed in that moment. Elena Halden's presence altered the air itself like a cold breeze slipping under a closed door. Conversations died mid-sentence. Even Adrian straightened, smoothing his tie as if that could erase what she had witnessed. Her eyes, sharp as cut glass, moved from Adrian's smug posture to Ethan's trembling grip on the folder. She didn't speak at first. She didn't need to. The silence she carried was louder than shame. Then she stepped closer, her perfume soft, clean, threaded with jasmine replaced Adrian's harsh cologne. She positioned herself beside Ethan, close enough that he felt the shift in temperature. The quiet message, "You're not alone. I saw what happened," she said quietly, her voice warm but edged with steel. "Walk with me." Ethan blinked, unsure he'd heard correctly. Executives rarely noticed him, let alone invited him anywhere. But Elena was already moving toward the private hallway leading to her office. Behind them, whispers rose like rustling leaves. Who is he? Why is she talking to him? Inside her office, soft lighting, city views stretching like silver rivers. She finally turned to him. "Ethan," she began, surprising him again by knowing his name. "I have a personal request." She hesitated, uncharacteristically vulnerable. "I need a boyfriend for a weekend event," she whispered. "Someone I can trust." Ethan's breath caught. "You mean me?" he asked, barely above a whisper. Her nod was small, but they'd changed everything. Ethan stood frozen, his heartbeat thundering louder than any elevator chime in the building. Helena watched him, not with expectation, but with a gentleness that steadied the trembling in his hands. She explained softly, there was a charity gala that weekend. Her ex-fiancé would be attending, and the board had been circling her leadership like vultures since the breakup. She needed someone grounded, someone real, someone who reminded her that strength didn't always wear a suit. Before Ethan could form a reply, Adrian barged into the office without knocking. Miss Halden, if you need a date, he stopped mid-sentence, because Elena stepped closer to Ethan, her voice cool and decisive. I've already chosen. Adrian's arrogance evaporated. His face reddened, shame burning hotter than words. For once, he couldn't speak. Ethan swallowed hard. I don't know if I'm the right you are, Elena said gently. And I'll pay you for the weekend. Enough to make things easier for you and your daughter. At his daughter's mention, Ethan's breath tightened. Relief, gratitude, disbelief all crashed into him at once. Outside the office, employees had paused, watching in stunned silence as the CEO walked out at Ethan's side. For the first time in a long while, he didn't feel invisible. Sometimes the smallest moments reveal the truest parts of people. A cruel joke in the lobby, a trembling folder in tired hands, a quiet act of courage from someone who never expected to be seen together. They changed the course of two lives. In a world obsessed with status and polish, kindness remains the quiet force that shifts everything. And dignity, once restored, shines brighter than any title on a door. Ethan walked beside Elena that day not because she needed a date, but because she recognized the worth he had carried all along. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and share it with someone who believes in second chances. What would you have done in Ethan's place? Tell us in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Acts of Kindness for more stories that restore faith in humanity, one heart at a time.